Although it is Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025, and I'm coming to you today and commenting on and telling you how I feel impacted by the UCC Daily Devotional written by Martha Spong, which is entitled Peeled Back. And again, if you're new to my videos, this isn't necessarily coming from a Christian perspective, but simply using the UCC Daily Devotional as a starting point for conversation and seeing in a new way and building community wherever you are and whatever you believe. Martha bases the devotion upon the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verses 13 through 14, New Revised Standard Version, Updated Edition. Then the Pharisees said to Jesus, "You are testifying on your own behalf. Your testimony is not valid." Jesus answered, "Even if I testify on my behalf, my testimony is valid because I know where I have come from and where I am going, but you do not know where I come from or where I'm going." And then Martha writes, "I once worked for a boss who knew herself well enough to know she needed help with her tendency to micromanage. 'Your job,' she said, holding up a clenched fist, 'is to get me to peel my fingers back from all the things I keep tight in my grip,' because that grasping kept her from considering new possibilities for the program she ran." In John 8, Jesus spars with the Pharisees at the temple in Jerusalem. In their repeated encounters with him, they keep a tight grip on whatever will make them right and him wrong. For every statement he makes, they offer a counterargument, some rule or standard that supports their status quo. They do not want to acknowledge who he is. The Pharisees had a lot at stake as they grappled with Jesus' arrival on the scene. To believe who he said he was, they needed to peel back their fingers from being authorities on everything. They needed to bend their minds to recognize that Jesus was God's law come to life among them. My old boss comes to mind whenever I find myself caught up in rigid definitions of responsibility or roles or ideas. What am I trying to avoid or protect with my unbending mental fist? And the prayer. Our holy Jesus, when we hold tight to things that do not serve you, may we peel ourselves back and let you be you. A couple things that came to my mind as I was reading this is how many Christians today are people who keep their hands tightly clenched and grasped around what they believe is Jesus without letting go of their tight grip to see what they don't see and to understand what they don't understand. Out of fear, I guess, that to question anything that they believe and it will all fall apart, when in fact it will free them to become the people that Jesus meant them to be, that Jesus tried to live into himself. And as Martha writes, God's law come to life among them. I think so many people who call themselves Christian today are exactly in that bind, especially in the midst of embracing all that empire, all the power that empire brings to them and the enforcing of the rules as they see them, and they're missing everything. They're missing so much. I was also reading an article today about John Cobb and his life. I think he died in December at age 99. If you don't know who he is, look him up. Incredible philosopher, theologian. But anyway, toward the end of his life, he said he stopped calling himself Christian and saying he was a disciple of Jesus, trying to distinguish himself from being someone that adheres to a religion to someone who tries to live as Jesus lived and taught, as he understood and interpreted it. And his understanding and interpretation was constantly expanding and growing. Which also makes me think of something I often say is, if you think you've got it all figured out, that's when you're in trouble. Anyway, those are my thoughts for this day. I hope they give you something to chew on. I hope they give you something to grasp hold of and find hope that you're doing the right thing, that you can help make small changes in the little part of the world that you're in, and that it can grow into a movement throughout our community and our culture. Hope you have a good day. Hope to talk to you soon.